I think we can get started. Welcome. This is the regular meeting of the Metropolitan Council this Wednesday, August 24th, 2022. I can't believe it's the end of August. Welcome. We're first going to the agenda. We'll look at the agenda. If there's any changes or corrections, say now, or I will assume it is approved. Then we'll look at the minutes. This is the first order of business from August 10th meeting that were sent out in advance. If there are not any corrections, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion is adopted. At this point is when we have a time in our agenda for members of the public who wish to address the council on matters not on the agenda. They may do so, but we don't have any pre-registered, do we? No, we don't. Okay. Right, then, moving on to what is maybe some could consider the main event of this meeting, which is business item 2022-192, the preliminary 2023 budget and property tax levy. That will be advanced by Councilmember Johnson, who I don't see. Yes, I do. There you are.
Yes.
Oh, Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As part of this business item, we all received some information in advance. So we received the budget in brief, and we received a bunch of tables and things like that. I think we've all, in one way, shape, or form, seen the preliminary levy proposal by staff. So I'll just get us started and move business item 2022-192 and the resolutions 2022-14 through 2022-19, which allows the council to adopt our 2023 preliminary operating budget and set the upper limit of our 2023 property tax levies. The proposed budget is consistent with the budget presented at the council meeting on August 10th, 2022. The preliminary budget authorizes an overall property tax levy of $92.3 million, an increase of 2%, which has been consistent except for the 1 year recently, which was 0. So we're staying with that 2%. This is the first step in the council's adoption of the 2023 budget. In October, we will incorporate the capital budget into the unified budget, and along with any additional changes to the operating budget, present and adopt the 2023 public comment budget. Based on the feedback we received from the public and any additional changes needed, we will adopt the 2023 final unified budget in December. In our final budget, the council could reduce but not increase the property tax levies adopted today in the preliminary budget. So the motion, Mr. Chair, is that the Metropolitan Council authorizes the 2023 preliminary budget as proposed and in accordance with the attached resolutions and tables.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, and this was the subject of the last meeting, which had a more thorough explanation. So if there are no other questions or discussion, we will actually call for a roll call because it is a budget action. So Liz, you may call the roll. I had never said that to you in person before. Liz, may you call the roll?
Johnson.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Billigren.
Aye.
Terzelli.
Aye.
Zurin.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Bento.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
And Wolf.
Aye.
That motion is approved. On to the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. Next up, the reports from the Standing Committee. And first up, we'll hear from Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and council members. The single item that the Community Development Committee brings forward today is business item 2022-217. It's to authorize the City of Randolph's 2040 Comprehensive Plan. A brief summary, the City of Randolph is located in southern Dakota County and is completely surrounded by Randolph Township. The council forecasts that the city will not grow through the 2040 planning horizon. Our council staff found that the 2040 plan confirms to regional systems plans, is consistent with council policies, and is compatible with the plans of adjacent and affected jurisdictions. So, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review and take the following actions. First, authorize the City of Randolph to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. Secondly, to advise the city, A, to provide the council the date the Watershed Management Organization approved the final local water management plan and the date the city adopted the final local water management plan. We also request that the City of Randolph provide the council with a copy of the final adopted local water management plan that will also be included as part of the final plan document submitted to the council. And B, to implement the advisory comments in the review record for water supply and community and subsurface sewage treatment systems.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That motion carried. On to the Environment Committee. Councilmember Lindstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. This is business item 2022-232, and it requests that the Met Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute an amendment to contract 20P215B with Rice Lake Construction to reduce the contract term. We have 16 chemical feed sites that help manage odors and corrosion in our interceptors. And our current service uses proprietary equipment, which hasn't really fostered a competitive bidding environment. So last fall, we approved 2 contracts with Rice Lake Construction. One is to put in a new odor system, and the other one is to supply the chemicals and operate and maintain the system for a decade, for 10 years, with 2 5-year extensions. Since that time, last fall, the costs for chemicals, the chemicals that we need for this odor control and corrosion control have gone up approximately 40%, from 71 cents per pound to $1.21 for nitrate salts. And because of this, we'd like to keep the contract at a not-to-exceed amount of just over $35.6 million, but reduce the contract term from a decade to most likely 7 years. So therefore, Mr. Chair and members of the council, I move that the Met Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute an amendment for contract 20P215B with Rice Lake Construction to reduce the contract term.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That motion carried. Councilmember Lindstrom.
And this next item is related to the item that we just passed. And this is business item 2022-233, and it requests that the Met Council ratify the emergency declaration for the purchase of odor control chemicals and operation and maintenance services for our existing chemical odor control sites. We do emergency declarations when there's a health, safety, or welfare of the public concern, or the safety of our employees or our facilities is at issue and really requires immediate action. This declaration allows us to expedite the procurement process. And the need arises because there's a gap between our current supplier and our future long-term supplier. And of course, if we fail to act, this could result in odors that cannot be managed and would severely impact adjacent neighborhoods and businesses with sewer-related odors. Not any sort of emails that we want to be receiving. So therefore, Mr. Chair and members of the council, I move that the Met Council ratify the emergency declaration for the purchase of odor control chemicals and operation and maintenance services for the 16 existing chemical odor control sites.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. There's a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carried. Thank you. There are reports for the Management Committee on the consent agenda, as there are for the Transportation Committee, which leads us to joint reports, and the joint report of Environment and Community Development Committees. Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The following two business items are comprehensive plans. The first is for a community connected to the regional wastewater system and was heard in the Community Development and Environment Committees. The second is for a community with its own municipal wastewater system and was only heard in the Community Development Committee, but it was mistakenly placed on the joint committee, so we'll deal with it here. For both communities, council staff found that the 2040 plans conform to regional systems plans, are consistent with council policies, and are compatible with the plans of adjacent and affected jurisdictions. Mr. Chair, council members, the first is business item 2022-218. It's to authorize the city of Maple Plain to put their 2040 comprehensive plan into effect and approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. Recommendations from Community Development Committee, authorize the city of Maple Plain to place its 2040 comprehensive plan to effect. Second, to revise the city's population forecast to round to the nearest 100 as shown in Table 2 of our attached review record. Third, advise the city to send the local water management plan to the Pioneer Sarah Creek Watershed Management Commission for review and approval. When approved, send the council the watershed's approval date and the date the city adopts the final local water management plan. Fourth, advise the city to A, incorporate supplemental information on employment-bearing land use intensity received on May 4th, 2022 into the final plan prior to adoption, and B, to implement the advisory comments in the review record for regional parks and trails, surface water management, and forecasts. And the recommendation from the Environment Committee, approve the City of Maple Plains Comprehensive Sewer Plan and advise the city that the final plan submitted to the council must include a copy of the city's ordinance related to the prohibition of some pump connections to the sanitary sewer system.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. Councilman Lilligren.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The final joint committees meeting is item number 2022-219. It's the City of Dayton 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. The recommendations from Community Development Committee is to authorize the City of Dayton to place its 2040 comprehensive plan to effect. Second, revise the city's regional sewer service forecast downward as shown in Table 2 of the attached review record. Third, advise the city that A, within 60 days after receiving final DNR approval, the city must adopt the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area Plan and submit a copy of the final adopted plan and evidence of adoption to the DNR, the council, and the National Park Service, within 10 days after the adoption. And B, to implement the advisory comments in the review record for forecasts, land use, and planned implementation. And the recommendations from the Environment Committee is first, approve the City of Dayton's comprehensive sewer plan, and second, advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record for wastewater.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion is adopted. I will say, we have gone through many comprehensive plan approvals, and my understanding is that we're really getting close, down to a very few, as Director Bras points out. And so hats off to the staff and the committee for this great work. We're starting all over again, but this is great work. Which brings us to our other business. Our final item is 2022-238, appointment of a new Equity Advisory Committee co-chair. This really comes from the the Equity Advisory Committee itself, who voted on August 16th to appoint a new co-chair. The committee appointed Vanessa Jenkins by member vote. So just so everyone knows, our other co-chair, current co-chair, Leah Goldstein-Moses, her term ended April of 2022. So the current co-chair is serving until members had an opportunity to notify the committee and kind of consider interest. And we're really fortunate to have Vanessa, who has stepped up. Just for the record, the Equity Advisory Committee advises the Metropolitan Council in its work to advance equity in the metropolitan region. And the work of the committee aligns not only with our Thrive vision, but a lot of the work that we do here as a council. So we're always working at ways to take that advice and find ways to interact with the EAC. So thanks to council members who are working with them. I really want to thank the Equity Advisory Committee not only for this recommendation, but for the passion they bring to our work. So at this time, I would entertain a motion that the Metropolitan Council approve Vanessa Jenkins, District G, to an appointment as the Equity Advisory Committee co-chair seat.
I'd make that motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Sterner. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Pacheco. Is there any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion has carried. So, that was not a record meeting, but it was certainly brief. And here we are, the last meeting in August. We all have a little time off, and then we'll almost see you again in the fall. So it was the last meeting of physiological summer. It's good to see everybody. I invite anybody who has any reports or anything that you want to share. How about the RA, Regional Administrator, Bogie?
Just quickly, Mr. Chair, just a reminder that our state fair service starts tomorrow. Similar to last year, we're running from 3 sites, Minnetonka, Bloomington, and Cottage Grove. Service approximately every 30 minutes, and $6 round trip or $5 if you buy a mobile ticket. Information is on the Metro Transit website, so just wanted to give a heads up to that.
Great. General Counsel?
No report, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No report. I did leave one thing out I want to bring to everybody's attention, that tomorrow I will have the opportunity to greet Secretary Buttigieg at the Uptown Transit Center and then tour Lake Street and really the site of the Beeline. And it's pretty exciting. I've known previous secretaries, but never met Secretary Buttigieg, and he is going to be touring that. It's celebrating a RAISE grant, which came to Hennepin County, but it's in support of the Beeline corridor, and showing that transit is not just about one big line, it's about many lines, and Beeline is a pretty important one. So it's really an opportunity to not only that, but show the progress that a lot of different groups have come together to rebuild Lake Street. So it's and it'll have a little time at the Midtown Exchange. And then he's going to the State Fair. So you know what gets better than that?
Great.
So having said that, good to see everybody. Enjoy the day. This meeting is adjourned.